Welcome to Wizards of the Tower.
Roleplay.
And this is just actually going to be kind of a quick video. We're not going to put in the intro and everything else on this. But I just kind of want to hit upon something. We found a video by somebody, we're not going to mention their name or their YouTube site, that was kind of a rebuttal to our Back to the Basics episode. So we just wanted to throw our own view of their rebuttal back out here, because I don't think they understood what we were saying in our episode.
We're Pathfinder players. Okay, we've been playing Pathfinder since Pathfinder came out.
Yep. Before that, we played 3.5.
Yeah. Pathfinder is a complex game system. There's a lot of books. There's a lot of things with it. There's a chart for everything. You want to fight underwater, there's a chart for it. You want to fight in the air, there's a chart for it. You want to fight on back of a horse, there's a chart for it.
You want to fight on chariots and wagons.
There's rules for it. Okay. Yeah. I maintain that Pathfinder is still my go-to game because of the complexities in the game creation.
And
okay?
the character creation.
And the character
very
creation.
in-depth.
Yeah. I like it because, and there's a lot of reasons, mainly one of the things I like is if you want to play a sort of a Viking-esque world, you've got it in Galarian. If you want to play horror, you've got it. If you want to play pirates, you've got it.
If you want to play Oriental
Adventures, it's there. If you want to play orcs, they're there. Dwarves, elves, an African, kind of an African analog, you can do that. If you want to play evil, they've got an evil area that you can play in. Yep. There's a crashed spaceship for sci-fi with androids and laser guns. There's rules for rifles, pistols, machine guns, everything. Okay, Pathfinder is what you created and what you make for it. Okay, that's there. Now, that doesn't mean that that's the only role-playing game you should play. You should play what makes you happy and what you think is fun. That's why we did an episode with these three basic groups here.
And a few others.
And others that are very simplified. Okay? Simplified is not bad. Simplified is just making things easier sometimes and simpler.
Right. A role-playing game is what you put into it and what your game master puts into it and gives you.
Right.
Now, there were a lot of anecdotes that this person gave, and we're not going to go into all those. But, you know, with these kind of games, it's if you can think about doing it and you can imagine it, you can do it. And that's the fun thing about it. There's not a rule that's going to stop you from doing it. Say you're a pirate and you're up in the top of the mast and you take your cutlass and you jab it into the sail and you slide down like in the old Errol Flynn movies. We know in real life that can't be done because Mythbusters proved it can't be done.
Right.
In Pirate Borg, if you can imagine it, and your DM says, give me a check, and you roll the check and succeed, you did it.
Yeah. Role-playing games, folks, it's basically what you take from them, okay? There seemed to be a little bit of a contentiousness involved in the fact that I basically said that role-playing games, in their simplest forms, can be nothing more than a pencil and paper, some dice, and
sandbox.
A sandbox to play in and a good imagination. I stand by that.
And a sandbox can be a generic term. You can be a literal sandbox, which is what we know Gary Gygax, Dave Arneson, and everybody that started playing Dungeons and Dragons started off with.
Right.
It was a sandbox. But then there's the generic term of sandbox is a world that you go out and you create.
Exactly. Games can be as complex as you wish. They can be as simple as you wish. And nobody should be able to dictate to anybody else exactly what sort of games they should play. It's all depending on how much fun you have and how much you get out of the game.
Yeah, the people that you're playing with.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a lot of it. You don't need 50 rule books and 10,000 spells to have fun.
No.
If you can imagine it, you can do it. And that's what these three systems are really about. Is if you can imagine it, you can do it, you have your fun. I would invite anybody who who is diehard into Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, Rolemaster, Warhammer, or any other complex RPG to break away and try some of these simpler games that we talked about, because they are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have a lot of rules. You don't need a GM to study 50 million books that have to know every rule in and out and flip through the book when he doesn't know or can't remember, because that does slow down a system.
Yeah.
And let's face it, speeding up the system adds in more play, and therefore you can have more fun.
Yeah, it's the idea that you're actually speeding the system up a bit so that players get to participate more.
Yeah.
They more players participate more, have more fun, more action, more combat, more of everything, because the game is moving along faster. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to have a game that's very slow and very in-depth, that's fine. But not every player likes that. A lot of players like games that move at a brisker pace, provide them a little more excitement, enhance their memories, enhance their experiences. That's basically what simpler games are trying to accomplish.
Right. Now these systems, you do have initiative. There was that was brought up about initiative, and you do have initiative in this, but it's simple.
Yeah.
You roll a d6, one person in the player side in Morkborg, Pirate and all the other board games. You roll a d6, and if you have a 4, 5, or 6, the party goes first. If you roll a 1, 2, or 3, the enemy goes first. And then you rotate around the table, taking the turn of maybe this person starts it and ends over here, and in next turn it's the next person, and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
So it can speed up your combat a lot easier. As far as hitting goes, in the Borg system, it's very simple. You roll a d20. If your Harbor Master or Game Master says that you need to roll a 12 or higher to hit, if you're using your say your cutlass in Pirate Borg and you have a +1 strength and you roll an 11, well, add in your +1 to your strength, you succeeded. The opposite is true of when you are getting attacked. You roll not the Harbor Master or Game Master, but you roll against your defense, and if your defense is 12, and let's say you have a dexterity or an agility of +1, if you roll your d20 and you get an 11 plus your +1, then the creature misses you. So it's a very simplified system, and it makes for a lot of fun.
It makes for great accessibility too,
Right.
especially for people who are just going into the role-playing game system. Right. It makes it easier for them. In no way do we intend to threaten anybody's position in their highly in-depth game system. We're not threatening anybody's position. What we're trying to present is different gaming systems here that might be accessible to others who don't want to invest heavily in a traditional book-heavy, rules-heavy game system.
Right. These books are, they're a lot cheaper. There are rules for everything in here. If you wanted just an orc, well, there are orcs in here, but there are dragons and there are demons and there are rules to create monsters if you so want to. The character creation on this is very quick. It's very random. You don't have this argument of who's going to play what. In a lot of games, nobody wants to play the cleric or nobody wants to play the wizard. Well, in these games, it's random.
Yeah.
And you have fun with what you have. The other thing I want to say is the games that Tom and I have played in Pirate Borg, if you don't think that there is stress there can be a lot of stress. There was last time in our last game where 2 of us were almost dead.
Yeah, there's a lot of excitement.
And if it wasn't for the die rolls, we would have been dead.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of celebration when things succeeded. It's like, yes, I rolled that nat 20, so I get a critical, I do more damage, or I do whatever. Or, I rolled that 1, and that's an automatic fumble no matter what. And, there's all of that.
Yeah.
And once again, if you can imagine it, you can do it. And there are storytelling games. So let's say you roll a nat 20, and you're fighting that skeleton creature. the harbor master in Pirate Borg is going to turn to you and say, how does that look? You did enough damage to kill it. How does that look? Tell me. And it's your job as the player to describe to the dungeon master or the harbor master and all the other players how you killed that monster, which allows you more creativity to what you're doing and allows a lot of fun.
Yeah. Role-playing games, you get out of them what you want to get out of them, what you feel you should be getting out of them. And really the emphasis is placed on the player. The player lives in a story, lives in their character, lives in a scenario. And the DM can present the scenario, can present rules, can present a system, but if the player doesn't take that out of there, if they don't take, that experience out of it into them and make it their own or enjoy it, there's nothing anybody can do about that. There's just some people who can't, all right? It doesn't matter how rules heavy your system is. It doesn't matter how rules light your system is. Some people just can't play role-playing games because they can't take themselves into that fantasy, keep themselves in there long enough to enjoy themselves. That's all there's to it.
Now, do you need miniatures to play these games? No.
But they're fun.
But yeah, adding miniatures adds another depth to the game.
Yep.
It's the whole mind's eye.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I don't know if you have any more to say.
Well, I mean, one more thing. And there's been a lot of analogies thrown out, about food and quality of food or whatever.
Books and
books or whatever.
Stories and books.
And the whole argument here reminds me a little bit of, kind of a controversy when it comes to storytelling. There was a movie back in the 90s called Mind Walk. And Mind Walk was a very simple movie. It only had 3 people in the movie. All right? And it was a way to present a series of thoughts and beliefs about system theory. And the whole idea was that scientific advancements can change the way people think about their world and the way their world changes, and thus how their life changes. Okay, very simple movie. 3 people walking around a cathedral in France talking about this. All right, there's no explosions, there's no machine guns, no submarines, no spaceships, nothing. Just 3 people talking. But even ideas like that can have a very profound impact upon people's minds and about people's lives. Okay, it doesn't have to be overly complex to present a storyline or an idea. Sometimes the greatest things can come from very simple ideas and very simple scenarios.
Yeah.
You take away what you want, what you can from a simple storyline. That's what you get out of it. That's the essence of role-playing. That's just what I want to say.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to end this kind of
abbreviated,
back to the basics
Yep.
to kind of explain ourselves, because I really don't think the person really got what we were talking about, and they kept referencing us, and to each their own, and that's your view, but I would invite you to go out there and try these games if you've never tried them. Don't just be stuck on one system. We know of the influencers that are stuck on one system, and they go into panic mode when those systems are causing a problem.
Well, when you franchise something, you feel threatened, because your franchise is threatened. There's no animosity here against for us, towards anybody else. There's no animosity. Gamers are rare. We're a gamer. Gaming is a family. We're all part of the same family. Yep. But we felt like we should explain ourselves a little bit more about where we're coming from with this idea. Yeah. And so we're just presenting it to you, and you can take from it what you will.
Having started playing Dungeons and Dragons, a role-playing game, in 1979 with the original first edition, having played the games of Top Secret, Boot Hill, Gamma World, Marvel Superhero, Star Frontiers, Traveler, Palladium, the original Palladium system, Mech Warrior. The list would just go on and on and on. And I have a fondness for those games, but they were a lot more basic. And I had a lot of fun playing those. I have a lot of memories playing those. And the few times I've gotten to play Pirate Borg, I've already made a lot of really cool memories and stories that I could tell to somebody
Absolutely.
if they really wanted to. And I think Tom could too in the 3 pirate board games that he's gotten to play.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, we're going to end this quick Wizards of the Tower.
Role play.
And may all your adventures be epic and not complicated,
And,
unless you want them to be.
and keep on rolling, folks.
Have a good one.